Well, welcome inside the JNS Auto Sales Sports Talk Live and Local. We're excited to be back. Our sponsors are JNS Auto Sales, our title sponsor, TJ Regional Health, United Citizens Bank, Lindsey Wilson College. We come to you live when we're not on break anyway, each Wednesday right here on 101.9 FM and 1270 AM. Also on our website at 1019wain.com. You can also download the app free of charge on the Apple Store or Google Play. Just search WAIN Radio, and you can take that wherever you go. We got a special show, man. We got a lot to talk about, but only a special guest would preempt all the stuff that's on my list, because I'm fine with throwing this away. Everything here's on my list just to talk to the gentleman to my right, because it's an exciting time to be a Dare County football fan. John, let's introduce our new coach.
Coach Steve Stonebreaker, welcome to the show, and we appreciate you coming out and sharing just some introductory conversation about Adair County football.
Well, it's good to be here. I mean, it's good to be in Adair County. I'm really excited to get here, and met the kids yesterday. Got to talk to the team for the first time, and we've been in the weight room for a couple days now, doing some basic things here and there, get some baseline testing started and that kind of thing. So, like I said, I'm pumped up to be here.
Yeah. Scott?
Kind of going into your first week, what's kind of your first priority as you get started here?
Well, the first priority for a head coach has to be to build culture, and that's my most important job as a head coach, is to kind of be the culture king. And that was the bulk of the conversation yesterday when I introduced myself to the guys, and we had that first team meeting. We've got to have a strong team culture to be able to do the things that we want to do on the field, and to have those guys succeed how we want them to individually, not just as a team. We've got to have a strong team culture to do that, and anywhere you go, that's what fans want to see. That's what alumni want to see. They want to see a good, strong program, see guys that give great effort, see guys that fight through adversity, see guys that do things the right way, and that's what we're going to get to.
Coach, obviously, congratulations on the strong season also last year with the district over there at Casey County, district win, championship. But tell me a little bit about will you look at personnel and fit your system to what's coming back at Adair County, or will these kids have to kind of learn to do what you want to do as far as coming in, with a new program?
Well, there's probably going to be a little bit of both, to be honest. We're going to try to run the same type of system that we did at Casey County. Of course, that system has to be built around the strengths of the quarterback, and that's kind of an unknown for us right now. So I'm going to be working with some guys in the spring and really kind of see what the best options are for us at that particular position, and see what guys' strengths and weaknesses are, and who the guy may end up being. So that's going to be a process in and of itself, and we'll be going through that. But we're going to spread the field. We'll be 3-4 wide receivers, sometimes 5 wide receivers, and we'll play to the strengths of the guys that we have. So it's going to be a little bit of both. I like the things that we do offensively because it gives us answers. You can run a 3-back offense, and there's teams in high school football that have success running a 3-back offense. But if you're running a 3-back offense and winning, you're usually winning because of defense, and you're usually winning because you've got really good players. Because you're limited on the answers that you have on offense if you're not running a quarterback-centric offense. And that's why, everybody in the NFL runs a quarterback-centric offense, and most teams at the college level do, because it just gives you more answers. And that's what I like about it.
Where did you get your offensive philosophy from? Or was it something you grew up with in high school, college, or just kind of a combination of different things? Or how did you come about?
It really is a combination of different things. The run game is very similar to what we had at Warren Central High School in the late 80s, early 90s when I was playing in state championship games for Joe Hood. It's an I-formation-based run game. The thing you can do now with the rules of football is we can protect the run game with the pass game a little bit with RPOs. So, we have the ability to call a run play to where, we might have 7 guys executing a run play, and then we've got 4 guys potentially with the quarterback making the read, executing a pass call. So, you could do those things now that you weren't able to do back then. The game hadn't advanced to that point back then. So the other thing that we can do is the quarterback can kind of become the tailback. So it's I-formation type running game, but sometimes we just snap the ball to the guy that becomes the tailback. and he ends up running. And the great thing there,
I saw that in the whole
mathematically-
fourth quarter when we played Casey County this year.
and that's the thing that, you know, I'm not a math whiz by any stretch, but you know, when my quarterback runs the football, I get a extra blocker, so I get a +1 hat in front of my ball carrier, and that obviously makes a difference. So it evens out numbers for you when you're trying to win games with an underdog type team, underdog type program. You need all of those advantages, but the drop back passing game is something that really I got from my college coach, Matt Ballard at Union College, and it really progressed over the years with, you know, some other guys I studied like Andrew Coverdale and some of those kind of guys, Mike Emmendorfer, and then Tony Joe White, who was the offensive coordinator I worked for 2 years at Center College in the late 2000s. So, you know, it's bits and pieces from a lot of guys that I've formulated into a high school offense. Yep.
Coach, I know that there's probably some anxiousness that goes into moving from one district school to another. There's also a lot of excitement. Is it easier, more difficult? What do you think it's going to be going from one district school to another? Because you basically know the teams in your district already. I mean, I got to think that familiarity is good, but it's also I got to think it's going to be a little difficult to play Casey County the first time you meet them next season.
Sure, and I think you're right with probably everything you said. The familiarity, just by knowing the roster, knowing some of the guys, you know, seeing them live and in living color, having played them, you know, you have a feel for, you know, some of what they have personnel-wise. Now, obviously, you know, you get into it and you find out a whole lot more, but you do have a feel for it. You know, district-wise, you know, it's really up in the air right now because, of course, this is a reclassification year. So
Yeah.
Casey and Adair are both in 3A, but you know, sometimes they've been in the same classification and not been in the same district. So really, who knows what's going to happen? We'll find out over the course of the next about 6 or 7 weeks exactly what's going to happen. But I still anticipate we're going to play regardless of being in district or not. And of course, that's going to be kind of weird because I have a lot of good friends in Casey County. The community there was always great to me. And have a lot of respect for so many people there.
I want to follow up with what you just said, and it's kind of takes away from the football field and what you're going to encounter and everything. But I've heard Scott talk about this redistricting and realignment, I should say, throughout the state. I want a coach's perspective of it. Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it just something that just, you know what, it happens and you know what, we're going to deal with it?
Well, I've been a head coach 22 years, and you just got to deal with it. And you know, people have asked me, where do you think we're going to fall? What district do you think we're going to be in? It's not worth predicting, and I'll promise you, it's not worth spending time thinking about, and it's not worth losing sleep over, because you can predict it all you want, and it's not going to be what you predict. So, you know, I mean, you just end up dealing with whatever district you're put in.
Gotcha.
Coach, we talked a little bit about before we went on the air about kids learning how to practice with what you want to do. You know, it takes a while, so obviously the spring will be big for that.
Oh, absolutely. And what you do in the weight room is so big for that. Much less what you're doing on the field in spring practice and some of the drills that you're doing there that might be position specific. You know, the weight room's a great place to learn mental toughness. The weight room's a great place to learn how to compete. And that was part of my message to the guys yesterday, and we're going to use it as such and try to build the culture like we need it to.
Kind of off the wall question here. Do you expect your radio crew to wear sweater vests this year?
That's right. Yeah, I tell you what, if we ever have a bet and you lose it, that's going to be something good for me to have to pin on you guys, is to make you wear sweater vests. Yeah.
Coach, you talked about your staff is probably at this point, you said, a little bit up in the air, depending on next summer with what job openings and that kind of thing, whether people can come, move. But you know, you made a statement that I was really impressed with. You said if I have to take it on myself for a little while, I'll do it.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I've done that before. I think the key is when you talk about getting in your assistant coaches and your staff, you want to get the best guys you absolutely can for the kids. You know, we want the best guys working with our players that we can possibly get. I want the best guys as a head football coach working alongside of me, because those guys are going to end up taking, a lot of the brunt off of me if they're talented. I mean, if they're good at what they do, and they're hard workers. So we certainly want to get the best guys that we can, and if we have to wait to do that, that's the right decision.
We're going to take a break. Coach, if you'll stay with us for just a few moments. I got a few more questions. I know the guys do as well. But we're going to pay the bills for just a second. We're going to step away for a minute. This is the JNS Auto Sales Sports Talk Live and Local. Back to JNS Auto Sales Sports Talk Live and Local. Our sponsors, Lindsey Wilson College, United Citizens Bank, TJ Regional Health, and our title sponsors always JNS Auto Sales. We have Coach Steve Stonebreaker in the studio with this new head football coach at Adair County. Coach, I'm curious at any level, but I guess for this question it'll be your level. Do you watch Saturday football? Do you watch Sunday football and look at schemes, look at anything, think, oh yeah, I could utilize that? You do that at all?
I think the Saturday game appeals to the high school game, a whole lot better. I mean, there's a lot of things done on Sundays that you're not able to do
Sure.
on Friday nights. But yeah, I watch a ton of college film, particularly in the off season. I mean, Saturdays and Sundays are 8 to 10 hour work days for me, but I try to carve out to watch one college game live. And I don't really watch much NFL until the playoffs, just because after church I'm inundated getting
Sure.
ready and tying together game prep and that kind of stuff. So I really don't see hardly any NFL football until the playoffs.
Interesting.
Coach, I grew up here, been around here my whole life, went to school here. One of the biggest things that I've seen with Adair County football in particular, the teams we've had in the past, the most successful teams, you got the best athletes in the school playing. What's your plan to recruit the Hawks? I mean, because that's going to be something that that already.
Well, you have to do it.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. Everywhere I've been, we've always increased numbers. And when I took over the Casey County program originally in 1999, of course, they were coming off the state's longest losing streak, a 46-game losing streak. And they had 17 players the year before I took over. And then we had 31 in 99, and then we had 49 in 2000, which was the largest roster they had up until recently. We've had 2 that surpassed that, and last year had 55. So that's something that I've always been able to do, and I've got a list of kids already to target. So that's something that does not take much time. You because you're right, you've got to get in there and you've got to get the best guys playing that you can get.
And you know who you are if you're out there listening. So just expect that phone call.
That's right.
Coach, I have a 10-year-old. He plays youth football. He loves it. He just eats it up. How important is it for you to get and I know it's difficult to get involved with that age, but just the youth coming up, I got to think it's real important to you.
Absolutely. That's the lifeline for the program. So, you want to get down there. You want to know those kids. You want to know them by name, and you want to start building some relationships with them and those kind of things. You want to be able to see them play every now and then. So, like you say, I mean, you're not going to be able to attend every game,
Sure.
just because of the load that you have as a head coach during the season. But you do want to be able to see them some, and when you see them practicing sometimes in the evenings, as you may be getting off the practice field, going over there and giving those guys a fist bump and a shout a little bit goes a long way for those kids.
And every now and then, I got to think you look out of the corner of your eye on Friday nights and you see that group of kids playing down there just beyond the end zone.
Absolutely.
You got to love that.
And that's another thing is connecting Friday nights to those guys. And, we may get them to lead us out of the tunnel,
Yeah.
may get them on senior night to hold signs for seniors and those kind of things. So there's a lot of ways we can connect that youth bunch to the high school.
My last question is, what aspects of coaching football get you the most excited?
Just seeing the kids succeed, I'll say, and seeing the kids accomplish things that they maybe themselves didn't think they should accomplish or could accomplish. And I'll go just to last season, and it can stay very recent. Of course, we at Casey County were predicted to go 0-10. We predicted by everybody to be last in the district, and we won the district. And the night we won it and upset Hart County, just the look in the kids' faces and the smiles that you see, the excitement that you see, the joy really makes it worth it. I mean, that's the most fun thing in coaching. If you really want to ask me what that is, it's seeing the joy that the kids have when they're able to accomplish things that so many people and maybe even themselves at some point didn't really think they were going to be able to do.
Coach, is it too early to talk about goals or expectations for this upcoming football season for you?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. I mean, if you're talking about, effort level and those kind of things, I mean, I think there's expectations there. If you're talking about wins and losses, then, I mean, the schedule's not even finalized. And
Right.
obviously don't know what kind of district we're in and all that. So, I don't know that anybody can make any predictions of that. And I never do anyway, to be honest. My standard line is I don't predict, I prepare. So we'll try to prepare and be ready every single Friday night and get them ready to play as best they can, and we'll see what happens.
Coach, this is a little off the wall question. Tell us something interesting about you that people might not know. They know you as the football coach.
Yep.
Like any hobbies or any certain thing anything you do that people might want to know about.
I don't have really any hobbies. I mean, if you're going to be a good head football coach, I mean, you've got to be a football guy, and there's probably not a lot else going on in your life, and then that's just the reality of the position. But something that people probably wouldn't guess about me is I'm a pug owner, and I love pugs, love my pug now. So you probably would think a football coach might have a Doberman or pit bull or something like that, and maybe that's where I'm a spread offense guy. But I got a pug, and I enjoy him.
Coach, how difficult is it going to be to adjusting from the Eastern time zone to the Central time zone?
Well, I mean, I'm from Bowling Green, so I lived in the Central time zone the majority of my, I'm not going to say the majority of my life now, but for a very good portion of my life, lived in the Central time zone. But I think going the other direction would be worse. I mean, at least, I'm still leaving the house at about the same time in the morning. I'm just getting back a little bit later, but where, games and everything start an hour later in the Eastern time zone anyway, it's not that big a deal.
Coach, it's been an absolute it's just been great having you here, talking to you, getting just to I guess the community to know you a bit, and we're excited already. I mean, you can just kind of sense from in this room the energy that you portray to us, and talking about football and talking about this team, and we wish you nothing but the best, and look forward to having you on right before the season to talk. Then we'll ask you about the goals and expectations. Is that okay?
There we go. Yeah. You can ask away. But, no.
We're going to step. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'll just say I'm thankful you guys having me here and appreciate what you do for Indian football.
Absolutely. We're going to step away for a minute. We'll come back. This is the J&S Auto Sales Sports Talk Live and Local. Back to J&S Auto Sales Sports Talk Live and Local. Our sponsors, TJ Regional Health, United Citizens Bank, Lindsey Wilson College, our title sponsor, J&S Auto Sales. Men, do you just want to run through a wall right now? I mean, seriously.
I'm suit up. I'm ready to suit up.
I didn't want to make him feel good, but I mean, seriously, his attitude is infectious. His energy is infectious. He exudes confidence, and if I'm telling you right now, this guy knows football, and you can tell that just by. I mean, I could tell that 5 minutes into the conversation, and Scott, you said it just a few minutes ago to me off air. You can just tell he's a pretty darn good motivator too.
No doubt. I'm just going by what Hayden, my son, he's in high school playing football. And, he told me Monday when he came, or Tuesday when he came from school. He said, Dad, this is different. I mean, it's just he just the way he come across to the kids, and he came home today after the first real weightlifting day, and he said the weight room's totally different. And he said it's just it's a different atmosphere, and that's what Coach Stonebreaker's said. I heard a podcast earlier this week he was on is you got to change the culture before you can change anything else, and that's what he's working on right now. I mean, that's going to be the biggest thing, and like I brought up in the interview, recruiting the Hoss. I mean, you've got some good athletes on the team already, but at a school like Adair County, to be as good as you can possibly be, you've got to have all the male athletes that you got to have them on the field.
I'm going to add one more little tidbit in here.
Do it.
I think the Adair County School Administration needs to make sure that he has his whatever pieces he needs in place for him to build the program.
Staff wise, facility wise.
Yes,
all
they
that
need
stuff.
they need to make sure, and if that means spending some money, that's what they need to do. So, and I know a school is involved. You got a lot of programs encompassed that you have to think about everybody. But if we're truly serious about building something, you've got to kind of provide resources, provide opportunities for him to be successful by allowing him to bring some of his people with him. That's just me. That's just my opinion about it.
You coach for years, you know you know how it works.
You have to have that support.
Yeah.
You
and
have
you got to
have
feel
it.
comfortable with your staff too, and that's the big thing. I don't know what his plans are. Who
And I'm taking nothing away from current staff that might stay on. I'm not saying, but he needs.
But we don't have any. I don't know if we had an assistant coach that was this past year that was in the school system. They were all, what was it, paraprofessionals? Is that the
Yeah.
legal term for
Yeah,
it? I guess
that's right.
To where and I'm tickled to death. But they're tickled to death and hope they'll stay on if Coach Stoneberger will like them to. It's hard. Like he's talking about doing it by himself as much as he can now, because that's kind of the situation they're in. But I saw some practices last year where we had, depending on the day, on some of the college kids, if they had class or something like that and they couldn't be out there at practice, we'd have 3 coaches trying to coach every how many kids, and it's just hard to do that way. You don't get the individual improvement and individual attention that you might need, and that's where, like you said, the support of the school system is going to be big for any coach or any athletic program.
Well, we could talk football. And the fact that we're talking football, high school football on January 4th, is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's pretty exciting. I'm just saying. And I'm looking forward to, I don't want to wish your life away, but I'm looking forward to the fall. Looking forward to hearing you guys call the Adair County football.
If you didn't know what I was talking about, Chris, in the sweater vest, Coach wears sweater vest a lot. He's got the Jim Tressel look going,
Okay.
and that's why I asked him if he's going to make the radio crew wear sweater vests.
I think that's an absolute.
Hey, if the radio station, anything.
Oh, here we go.
Anything they want to
Here
buy.
we go.
Anything they want to buy me, I'll wear it.
Guys, let's talk a little basketball. Lots of games have occurred since we last talked, and boys team 10-3, and they've won 4 in a row. Their last win was 86-60 over Allen County Scottsville back on December 30th. They're playing well.
Yeah, they are, and Scott and I were talking before the program that Adair County we just had a lot better team in Allen, and but we had to go down there and play, and we did, and
Play at the middle school. It was a different atmosphere.
made a lot of threes.
No.
Made a lot of
Don't
threes.
hurt things. I know at one time it was a fairly close game about halfway through the first quarter, and I think Dawson Gilbert hit a couple threes. Connor Lloyd came down the floor and dribbled into 2 straight threes. I think we hit 4 in a row on 4 straight possessions, and it went from a 1-2 point game to a 15-point game like that, and it was over right then. It's just at the end of the first quarter, I think we were shooting from the field 88% and shooting 5 for 6 from the 3-point line.
Yeah, you'll win some
So
games
you'll
doing
win some
that.
games that way.
Yeah.
This team is shooting over 75% from the foul line, which that's a little unusual for a high school team. To be in the mid-60s.
UK would take that.
Yeah.
I would take that for UK.
Connor's shooting a lot of them. He's over 90, but they really shoot their free throws well. They just rely on a lot of perimeter shots. When the perimeter shots goes in, this team's really good.
They
And
can beat a lot of teams that way.
coach is really trying to, me and him have talked about just rebounding the ball. Guards have got to really go in and rebound it, just because of they're really small. But I don't think they've peaked yet. I don't think they've peaked yet.
That was going to be my next question. You're halfway through the season, almost halfway through the season now. What's you don't think they peak? How good can they get?
I think, and I'm speaking for Coach Breeze, and I got to be careful here, but he's been tweaking with a lot of lineups, playing a lot of different guys, a lot of different combinations. He hadn't really settled on just pressing people just full out. So I think he's probably going to get that lineup down there where he thinks it's his substitution pattern will be most beneficial to the team. I think maybe 7 or maybe 8, 9 guys. Cut that down maybe from 11 or 12. But there's a good, solid basketball team, and they're going to win a lot of games going forward, I think.
Yeah, Chris, back in action on Saturday. Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock, we'll have that game here on Austin. That'll be after the UK game on FM on 93.5. Me and John was already talking. I mean, this is a Saturday afternoon game. Already talking about food prospects, and I don't know if you've ever been to Mount Vernon before.
I have.
Have you ever ate at Marcella's Farm to Fork?
I can absolutely say
okay.
that there's not a chance I've eaten it.
If this is the people from Columbia here will know what I'm talking about. The old Circle R. I'm talking about
Yeah.
the original one.
The one with panels.
Yes, this place is dead on it.
Really?
It's unreal. It's
Well,
great.
there will be a
There'll be
convoy
I've
from
already
Adair
told
County.
2 or 3 parents of the high school team that they need to make sure to stop there. But I hope I'm not overselling it, but it's I've ate there 3 times and I've not been disappointed yet.
3 times in like one day, or
No, 3 different
Oh,
times.
okay. All right. Play.
Put it this way: my mom and dad drove down there after church on a or was it after church on a Sunday? Maybe it was Saturday, but they drove to Mount Vernon just to go eat there. And you don't go to Mount Vernon just to go to Mount Vernon.
You
I mean,
don't.
it's just
That's right. Rockcastle County on Saturday. The next week, 3-game week. Still a head scratch with me. When I played high school basketball, I don't remember 3-game weeks very often. And Adair County's played a bunch of them already. At Macquarie Central on the 10th, Berea at home on the 13th, Thomas Nelson on the 14th. I didn't look too far ahead of the schedule, but how far along are we before we get back into district play?
I think it's the last week of January, first week of February. I'm pretty sure. So a couple more weeks till we get back. I think it's 3 games in a row like it was earlier in the season.
How you think this go around, the 3 games inside your district, this go around, the Indians will be better than they were the first time going through the? I think they had 2 home games, right? The first time.
Yeah.
So now they'll play.
It's when you Marion still has not won a game this season, and they're struggling right now. So you still have to play over there, and it's just a different gym over there. So you can't take that one for granted. But the Camelsville game, we hash it out every time. It's a battle of wheels. They want to keep it in the 30s and 40s. We'd like to be in the 80s, and it's a whole lot easier to slow things down than it is to speed things up. So, and the Taylor County game, they beat us soundly, or obviously the better team that night, but we couldn't hit the broadside of a barn either, and that, in my opinion, and we can play better than what we played over there. I mean, you got them at home this time, but the bad part about already being 1 and 2 in the district is you don't control your destiny now.
Yeah,
you got to have help to win it. So it's if you just lost 1 game, you controlled your own destiny. You swept the rest of the way out. You was gonna be the 1 seed.
I think Taylor County has the advantage on strength of schedule. They've stepped up and played some pretty good teams here lately. It's looking more and more like we're going to play Camelsville in that district, and that's two teams that I don't know. They're kind of mirror images of each other. Camelsville's so good defensively, and they just limit the possessions, and you just can't. You got to be successful with your possessions.
Yep.
And if you turn it over and make a couple crucial mistakes, then it's tough. And but certainly very winnable games, both of them. And we would be heavily favored to beat Marion.
in district where this year?
At Marion.
At Marion. Guys, let's talk about the ladies for a moment. 4-9 on the season. I just look back to Adair County just won 5 games all of last year. So you got to feel like, and they're 2-1 in district play right now. I'm correct about that,
Yes.
right? So I mean, you can see there's some improvement.
They turned the table on Glasgow. Glasgow had beat us at home early. I remember that was a strange game. We were up 28-20. I've got that stuck in my mind. At halftime, ended up relinquishing the lead, getting beat. Didn't have a very good second half, and then the girls came back and beat Glasgow in that Christmas tournament.
Best of the Lakes.
And had a close game with had a couple close games that could have went either way.
Yeah, the game we did on the air was the Macquarie Central game, and we led for a lot of that. The Macquarie Central had their post player that got in foul trouble. She got 2 fouls like in the first 2 minutes of the ball game, And when she come back in the second half, I think she probably had close to 20 points in the second half. We just couldn't stop her, and she's probably about 5'11", 6 foot, strong. And I'm not sure she missed a shot in the second half, and just couldn't get over the hump on that one. And you're talking about playing 3 games in 1 week, Chris. They played 2 games in 1 day on that
saw
last
that.
day.
I thought that might have been a mistake on
No,
the
they
KHS
played like at
AA website.
noon and 5 or something like that. So that was the day we were in Allen calling the game. But
They do that during summer ball anyway, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's still weird.
it is. It's different. No doubt. No doubt.
The Adair County ladies have Taylor County at Marion in the 2A Section 4 tournament on Friday. Then they've got Then they're at North Hardin on Saturday and home against LaRue on the 12th. Preview that Adair Taylor game for us.
No, we'll have our hands full. Taylor's as good as anybody in the region.
They're hands down the 1 seed.
Oh yeah.
Whereas the boys, you can have an upset. I don't think but talent-wise, I mean, they're pretty solid. They didn't shoot the ball well when Adair went to Taylor this year and still beat us pretty soundly. So that'll be a tough chore for sure.
Now that game will not count towards district standings.
Right.
It's part of the 2A Classic, and like I said, they're playing. We're going through Taylor County to go to Marion County to play Taylor County. It's kind of weird, but I did hear that the boys didn't play in the 2A sectionals this year, and I heard that that's a possibility of the boys getting back in it next year. So it'll be interesting to see. I can see where a coach may not want to be in it, really, because it's our sectional is us, Taylor, Russell, LaRue, and Marion. So
There's a pretty good percentage you're going to play a district team.
Yeah, chances are. And I don't know if you want. I mean, I don't know if it makes that much difference in basketball versus baseball. In baseball, you don't want to play them. To me, you don't want to show anything as much as you can before you get to the district tournament. And it's just one thing I do like about it is the girls are going to get extra chance to play on that floor. Like I said a few minutes ago, Marion County is just a different. You got 2 different total different rims, 2 total different backgrounds on each end. It's a dome. It's just a weird place to play, and it's good to get an extra game over there, I think.
Anything else on Adair County basketball?
That's all I know of.
All right.
Getting ready to had a little reprieve this week and get ready to go hard and heavy at it.
Real quickly, we're going to go through some Lindsey Wilson stuff. Not a lot to report. The men's and women's basketball teams are at Wilberforce on Thursday night, and then they'll come home on Saturday to take on Thomas More. Thomas More ranked number 1 in the women and number 2 in the men. So that'll be a tough outing for the Blue Raiders. Wrestling up at the National Duels in Louisville this weekend, and swimming hosts Shawnee State and Bethel at the Holloway Center on Saturday as well. Guys, went ahead and looked. Baseball starts February 3rd. Hey, just so you'll know.
College baseball starts too early.
You think?
But
So-
I guess they got to do it to get the season in before graduation as much as they can.
Softball is February 10th. Tennis actually starts January 29th. So just letting you know that it won't be long till it'll be
Outdoor
crossover.
tennis?
I think they are actually playing that match indoors,
Okay.
but yeah. So anyway, that's my Lindsey Wilson report as well. We're going to step away for a minute. We come back. Still lots to talk about. We'll try to jam it in our final segment. This is the JNS Auto Sales Sports Talk Live and Local. Welcome back to JNS Auto Sales Sports Talk Live and Local, our final segment. Man, there's so much on my sheet, I don't really know where to start, but we'll make do. Our sponsors, CJ Regional Health, United Citizens Bank, Lindsey Wilson College, JNS Auto Sales. We're going to talk a lot and as fast as we can until Austin kicks us off the air. UK wins 74-71 against LSU last night. I like the way they looked for about 32, 34 minutes. I don't know what they do in the final 5 minutes of the game. I just don't get it.
I called my dad and I said, "This is this is the first full game I've watched all season long of UK was last night, but nothing has changed. Cal gets a 8 to 10 point lead with 10 minutes left in the ball game. He puts it in the fridge, and everything they were doing, being successful, they just stopped doing
They
it.
just stopped doing it.
And it just drives me nuts. And we get to 5 seconds, and Severe runs in there and throws it up off the backboard. I mean, that's the offense.
They did play well. They played better, and when you shoot the ball better, you look better.
Oh yeah.
And that was the case last night. I think they got to find a way to get Collins some minutes. He was an All-American. This guy, he's not fitting in. He did get a few minutes last night, but
I was proud of the way Toppin played. I mean,
Toppin's
the
looked
last
great
two
the last 2 games.
I got to watch a little bit of the U of L game, and that's the kind of player they need him to be.
I like the Cal's thought process of I need to keep Wheeler, Toppin, Shebue, and Wallace on the court as much as possible. But he played them too many minutes last night. They looked tired at the end of that game.
Yeah. And I didn't realize Ware was hurt. But he
and
did say before the
Frederick's
game
hurt.
he was trimming
John's
his,
favorite.
Yeah, he was trimming his rotation down. And John was talking about like the high school team might be. So this time of year you start trimming rotations, and that's what Calipari did. He only played. Did he play 8 or 7?
I'm worried that Frederick's not going to be in that. He's not going to get a lot of minutes.
Probably
doesn't look
not.
like.
They play Alabama on Saturday at noon on ESPN at Alabama. UK doesn't have a signature win this year. I mean, Michigan in London. I mean, and Michigan got beat at home by Central Michigan or somebody like that.
Eastern Michigan.
Eastern Michigan. They need it. They need. I mean, obviously you want to win any game, but I mean, they need a signature win.
Oh yeah, that would be one. They're I mean, Alabama's ranked 7th, I think, but they've probably got the best resume of anybody.
Yeah.
They've beat 3 number 1 teams in the nation already. So
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a great resume, and you're gonna get your chance. I've watched off and on a little bit of other SEC teams. You're gonna have your chances.
Yeah. There's some good teams.
UK's. They keep on worrying about making the tournament, so I think they'll make the tournament. But they don't have their opportunities to really build a resume if they can have some success. I mean,
They were predicted to win the SEC, and I think there are 6 teams in the SEC right now ranked, and UK's not one of them.
Yeah.
U of L has 4 one-point losses, including last night against Syracuse.
What happened at the end? I didn't get to see it. I just saw they lost by 1.
I didn't see the ending.
Did they get the shot off on time this time? I mean,
L. Ellis stole the ball from Syracuse and had a 2-on-1 break, and all he's got to do is just dish it to. I mean, this kid filled the lane perfectly, but L challenges the defender, ricochets off his leg out of bounds. All he's got to do is drop it off.
They play Wake Forest on Saturday at 2:00. Do the Cardinals 2-13 on the season? You know, I watched we get Louisville news and of course Louisville sports, and they're constantly putting the Louisville coaches on there. Right now, it's the assistant who came from Duke, and they're talking about, you know, we're seeing signs. But man, you gotta win some of those games too. I mean, it's tough.
that's one of the ones that they could have won. There's some in the ACC that they don't have a chance.
That's right.
I mean, that's just how it is this year. But that was one they could have won. The Wake Forest is one they could win. I mean, they just need to get some confidence about themselves from what I've seen, you know, and guard somebody. What little I watch of them in the UK, they don't guard anybody.
They don't guard
at all.
No. The New Year's Eve college football playoffs, the 2 semifinal games were probably as good of an 8 hours that I've ever watched football. Just sitting there watching, it was just so much fun. They were great games.
I love the first game, and I'm gonna tell on myself, I didn't see a minute of the fourth quarter of the second game, and I went to bed thinking Ohio State's gonna win. They're up 14 points. I mean, woke up the next morning, looked at the score, and it's like, how this happened?
Okay, so next time I'm calling you, because I mean it was crazy. I mean, just both games were outstanding.
Oh, they were incredible. I just really hated that Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't get to play the fourth quarter.
Clean hit, by the way. Clean hit.
It was clean.
He was unstoppable through 3 quarters, and didn't get a chance to make a difference late.
Stroud really impressed me. That's the first time I really watched them play this year. He's legit.
It's the first time he's ran the ball all year long. I mean, I was shocked at how few rushing attempts that he's had this year, and how good or how badly he made the Georgia defense look. But anyway, Georgia TCU, it's a 12.5 point. Georgia is favored by 12.5 points. You give TCU any chance whatsoever?
Mattress Mac says so. $1.5 million on the money line today on TCU to get back $600,000, I think. No.
Mattress Mac ever
$4
won a
million.
bet?
$4 million. $1.5 million to get back $4 million. TCU on the money line. I just don't know if in the secondary if TCU, what are they going to do?
If their starting quarterback plays the way he did against Michigan, it will be a rout. Georgia will beat them like a drum. They won despite the fact that how poorly their TCU quarterback played. And I don't think he'll play that poorly again. I think it's going to be a close game.
I think it'll be. Sonny Dykes is a heck of a football coach. But talent-wise, Georgia just just swallows them up. But you don't win or lose just solely on talent, or you would never. Or Alabama would be the national champion every year.
Did Sonny Dykes? Sometime he wanted a UK job, right?
Yeah, he was an assistant there one time.
I think he wanted
But
a
he
job.
wanted-
He would have been a good hire.
Yeah.
DeMar Hamlin, were you guys watching the Cincinnati Buffalo game
I was
as it happened?
amped up after I had my whole afternoon and evening planned. Rose Bowl, Monday
Yep.
Night Football, and I just was kind of in shock, like the host stadium when they were exiting. I mean, it was just I thought Joe Burrow and just everybody showed a lot of class with how it was handled.
I was so impressed with the Cincinnati fan base because you know they've been amped up. A lot of them probably were drinking and probably had one too many, and I was really shocked that there wasn't some booing when they announced that the game was postponed or whatever, and they didn't. And I applaud that fan base for doing just that because, wow, just an unbelievable scene there.
Yeah.
It's just I remember seeing the, I guess it's late 80s, early 90s when the hockey player got hit with the puck, and he basically stopped his heart, and he came back and played. I mean, not that day, but he later 2 or 3 weeks out of the season, he was back playing again. But that's the only time I ever remember somebody just dropping like that. As far as
Stephen A.
going
is
from standing
reporting.
up just to going down.
Sorry, Chris, that's your man. I know Stephen A. But he's reporting that they're going to push the playoffs back a week and just play after that final week, which is this Sunday. They're going to play that next week, just that one game.
Wow.
And
I don't see
he's
I don't see it
saying,
happening.
well, he's saying that all the teams are going to be for it because it's going to give them a week to heal up.
Well, sure, the teams would be for it.
That's what I asked him. Is there still 2 weeks between the conference championships and the Super
I
Bowl?
don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, there is. Yes.
And if I could see it, but I could see him possibly doing it not to have the 2 weeks between the Super Bowl. But I don't. There's too many people make plans around that's
Yeah.
that
Just
Super Bowl
rumor, though.
where
Just
you
rumor.
Yeah.
where you could move the Super Bowl date.
Because you can't just hand the Chiefs the 1 seed. I mean, because if the game ended in a tie, the Chiefs would get the overall 1 seed.
Yeah.
You can't do that,
Yeah.
I don't think.
I think that's what they'll do. I don't think they'll ever play that game. I just don't. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they played it, but I just don't think that they will, and that's just my opinion. UK football, could they look any worse against Iowa?
I thought defense played fairly well.
Oh my
honestly.
gosh, the defense was phenomenal.
But it's we talked about the under bet. it easily met the under bet.
No doubt.
But it's just
They obviously had
putrid
high,
offensively both ways.
and I'm not saying this is not let's throw this kid under the bus, but they obviously really thought this kid had some potential to give him that many snaps.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw some
Because I thought we were
some
gonna,
flashes there.
I thought we
mean,
were going to see all 3 quarterbacks, but now that tells me that the other guy from Somerset's probably leaving.
I'd say I wouldn't be shocked.
Probably right. And we'll leave it with this. Bobby Petrino coming back to the SEC. Have you heard about this?
Oh, John don't know
He's
about
going to be a
this.
coordinator. Somewhere.
He's going to be offensive coordinator at Texas A&M. Him and Jimbo.
Could you imagine him?
Wow.
That's an odd couple.
And
Wow.
he's gonna call the plays. Is what the press release said.
Jimbo's turning over the play call.
Yeah, he needs to. He needs to.
That's going to do our show. Want to thank our new head football coach in Adair County, Steve Stonebreaker, for joining us. Just a great interview. Look forward to talking to him more in the future. Thanks to our sponsors, TJ Regional Health, United Citizens Bank, Lindsey Wilson College, our title sponsor, JNS Auto Sales. For Austin Armstrong, Scott Bennett, John Shelley, I'm Chris Wells. This has been the JNS